Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order? Before we get to the picks, we start, of course, the NFL playoffs this weekend, and I want to go down. Remember, 7 teams in each conference this year in the NFL playoffs. So let's start in the AFC. We'll go top to bottom. Pretenders or contenders? If you want to elaborate on maybe part of why you think this team might or might not be one, you can. We'll start, of course, with the number 1 seed in the AFC, the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, 14-2. They won the AFC West. I don't think I have much debate here. The Kansas City Chiefs are contenders in the AFC.
Kansas City Chiefs at this point, and we kind of did our power rankings a few weeks ago to kind of see where we thought teams were shaking out, and I had the Chiefs as a fairly distant number 1 in the NFL as an entirety. I think they're still there. Obviously, didn't come to play this week, wound up losing another game. But for all intents and purposes, you're looking at a 1-loss team. I think they're definitely contenders, probably the contender. The one that everybody's gunning for. And I'll share the stat now. I was going to sneak it in at the end of the show. I shared it on social media earlier. If the Chiefs were to win their divisional game in 2 weeks, I saw a stat that Andy Reid would be the first AFC coach to host 3 consecutive AFC championship games. It's only been done once before in league history. In the NFC, it was the Philadelphia Eagles under head coach Andy Reid. Was the only coach in the history of the NFL to host 3 consecutive championship games. He could be the second as well in a different decade with a different team.
Crazy.
That's pretty baffling. Different conference, different decade, different team.
Yeah, and let's be honest, a completely different NFL as well.
And he's just he led the charge. I think people are going to credit a lot of coaches for the charge into a passing first league. And you look at what a lot of teams are doing now. Andy Reid with Westbrook and a lot of those pieces in Philadelphia really kind of led the charge. So keep charging, Big Red. I'm pulling for you.
There you go. All right, then we go to the 13-3 Buffalo Bills, the AFC East champions. I say contender. They were a team that up until, I don't know, maybe a month ago, I still didn't totally buy in on. But the last month of the season, which, for a lot of people is kind of they feel like it's the make or break time. You can be great in September, but where are you at in December and January? The Buffalo Bills have absolutely gotten not only stayed the same, but I think they've gotten better. So definite contenders, the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I think if you'd asked me about a month and a half, 2 months ago, I probably would have had them in the pretender pile. I just thought the defense wasn't finding their rhythm, and there was a lot of holes to be had on that side of the ball. Allen was faltering. They didn't decide whether they were giving it to Zach Moss. There just were a lot of pieces. Beyond Stephon Diggs, who was doing really well, it just didn't look like anything else was working. And you now all of a sudden you have, usually it's a when they say the hottest team is the most dangerous, usually that's a wild card team that's kind of made a charge and snuck in. I think the scary thing for the AFC is that hottest team in the NFL right now is a 2 seed. And I think if there was a team that has a chance in the AFC to really, in my opinion, the best chance to unseed Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs, which would be in that title game in Kansas City, it would be that Buffalo Bills team. I think they're playing about as good as they can play.
Yeah, I agree with Tyler here. Buffalo, scary team.
Buffalo's a scary team. Scary indeed.
Tanner's ready. He's ready for the Lightning to begin their Stanley Cup quest. Yeah, we will be.
You mean Tampa Bay won the? won the Stanley Cup. I didn't.
You didn't hear about that, Sean?
You got to heard something on the radio down here.
We will. We'll be giving our NHL season predictions next week because the puck drops a week from tomorrow.
Every commercial break, something about defending Stanley Cup champions.
You got to figure that they they got to get ready for Tampa Bay, but we'll talk about them here in a second. Let's
blast through these
to the number 3 seed, 12-4 Pittsburgh Steelers, AFC North champions. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to say pretender. This team has not been good all year. They've limped through victories. They've lost their best players on defense. I don't care how good that offense is. The defense isn't good enough. Steelers are pretenders.
Yeah, I think this is a team that could they flip a switch and become contenders, I suppose, if resting Ben gets him healthy and has him anywhere close to the Ben that we've come to know. I think they have a shot. But if that defense isn't healthy, they've shown me that when they get into shootouts, they kind of run out of tricks. So I've got them in my pretender pile as well. They were kind of on the fence for me, but I'm just not seeing a lot of things working for them. The running game's not getting going. Obviously, if Connor gets healthy, that's going to help. But I just with the other teams that are there, unfortunately for them, I think they were in a situation where playing the starters going into the playoffs would have been beneficial. I see Steelers are the most overrated team, definite pretenders there from Tyler. So I'm with you, Tyler. I just think that they were a team that really would have liked to have been healthy, because I think having another game of reps to maybe get hot going in would have been very beneficial. Now you have them sitting there questioning things, trying to get healthy. And, I think they're one of those higher seeds that are going to be worried going here into this first weekend.
All right, then we go to the 4 seed, the 11-5 Tennessee Titans. They won the AFC South by limping to a victory over a team far worse than them this past week. And it's been the story of the year. I've been saying it all the time. I'm still going pretender on the Tennessee Titans. I don't think this team is as good as they were a year ago.
I don't think they've been playing as good a football as a year ago. I'm going to stick on the other side, though. I have this as kind of a fence team as well. I think they're on the other side than the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think the Titans are contenders, not strong contenders, but anytime Derrick Henry can touch the ball, which, by the way, he's pretty good.
He's okay. He's all right.
Comes into the last week of the season at 235 yards shy of 2,000, and by the way, just rushes for 250.
I think he just hit 3,000 about 10 minutes ago.
He's still running. It's still. But I think it's actually, you look at it as kind of a down one. I think this last one was kind of a promising one for them because unlike a year ago, I don't think they would have won this game. I think that they're not a team that likes to win shootouts, but they found themselves against a red hot Houston offense, while their defense was struggling to get the pieces together and find an answer for Deshaun Watson. And they found a way to score points. That way primarily was Derrick Henry, but they're one of the few teams with that luxury of being able to run when you're still trying to score points. I think they're contenders. Do I see them unseating the Chiefs 9 times out of 10? No, but if you give them that one, I think they got a shot.
Then we go to the first wild card team, the 11-5 Baltimore Ravens. I have the Ravens as contenders. I think they are playing their best football of the season, unlike last year, where they came in here, where they had already peaked and they had already started the downturn. I think they're on the upswing. Ever since Lamar came back from the COVID list, he's been playing a lot better, and I think that team plays better when they aren't expected to. So I like the Ravens. I think they're contenders.
All right, we're obviously top of the wild card. You'd expect to be on the fence. I'm going to take the other side on this one. I'm going to take the pretenders. I will agree they've gotten hot. I think they're getting hot at the right time. I just question how hot it is. I don't know that it's Lamar Jackson. I think a lot of it has to do with finally getting to give the ball to J.K. Dobbins. I think clinging to what's his name? Not Andrews. I've lost it. But they had their go-to running back to start the season.
Mark Ingram.
Ingram, not Andrews.
Yeah, Andrews was the tight end.
Yeah, I was just nowhere close. Anyway, Mark Ingram finally just got real old.
Yeah.
And they had to kind of pick and choose, and I think a lot of people thought it was going to go to Edwards, and I think Dobbins with it shows some flashes, and they've been able to run the ball. And when you're able to run the ball without Lamar Jackson, it's going to open up a lot of holes for Lamar Jackson, both in the pass and running game. So are they scary? Yeah. Could I see them becoming contenders here after a good first round? Absolutely. But where I have them right now, I feel it might be too little too late. And I think the path's going to be a little too hard for them. And I'm going to have them on the pretender side.
11-5 Cleveland Browns, first time in the postseason since George W. Bush was in office. I don't know that I would have had them in contenders, but especially given now you're not going to have your head coach, you're going to be missing some players. Just an unfortunate thing. A bunch of guys on the COVID list for this week. I got to put him in pretenders. Good for you for getting in. I think you're building something there, but not this year.
Yeah, no. You're gonna find you would have had to really impress me for me to put Baker Mayfield on that side of the fence for me. I think this team is an absolute pretender.
Hell no.
The defense has played well at times. Offense has looked brilliant at times, but they're too few and far between, and rarely do they match up, even when everybody's healthy. I do feel the Brown I got to give a shout out to is Joel Betonio, offensive guard. He's been in the league since 2014, played 79 games.
No idea who that is.
Of course you don't. No one knows offensive linemen. But this is a guy that started all 79 games of his career. He's been a Pro Bowler 3 times. Came in 2014 and has been through the whole abysmal stretch of the Cleveland Browns and still managed to be a Pro Bowler. Finally makes the playoffs, catches COVID. Will not be able to play in their playoff game here this weekend against Pittsburgh. So I feel bad for Joel Betonio. Not the situation you want to see. Unfortunately, it's the way of the year this year. But that might be the most Cleveland headline for the Browns going into the week. But yeah, not even. I don't think it's realistic. Do I think they can beat the Steelers? Maybe. I don't think pushing forward, I don't see him doing it.
All right, then we close out the AFC, the 11-5 Indianapolis Colts. Maybe if they keep handing the ball to Jonathan Taylor, maybe they could be. Again, I think they're a team that's too hot and cold. And let's be honest, Phillip Rivers, when you need him the most, is not the guy to rely on. Pretenders.
See, I have the Colts on the other side. We're going to disagree again here in the middle of the pack. I'm going with definite contenders. I think the defense is strong enough. Obviously, the run defense has been weak over the course of the year. It has looked better here at the end, but their pass rush is good. Secondary looks good. And you're right. You know, as a team, they haven't been able to get entirely hot in a big streak. But that running back Taylor, he's gotten hot, and you're coming into the time of the year where you're going to need to be able to move the ball on the ground, especially. You know, with an older quarterback, you want to keep it out of his hands as much as possible. I think the Colts put up enough points. T.Y. Hilton's looking as good as he has all year. Somehow, I don't know how that works. Maybe it was just suck until you're healthy and then put it together. But yeah, you got a handful of tight ends they like, and I think they're definitely contenders. Probably right around the realm of the Titans. It's kind of fitting they had very similar records.
Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order? All right, then we move to the NFC. You have the 13-3 Green Bay Packers. They are the bye in the NFC North champions. Aaron Rodgers is maybe playing the. We'll revisit our preseason predictions when we actually get to like Super Bowl time. But I could not have been more wrong about this year's Green Bay Packers. I said they were going to stink, and I said they were going to have Aaron Rodgers on the trade block by the midway point of the season. So I could not have been more wrong about them. A.A. Ron playing some of the best football of his career. A.A. Ron is also running really well.
Yeah, he is.
And that Devontae Adams kid is pretty good at catching a football. They're
impressive.
Absolute contenders, without any doubt.
Yeah, Devontae Adams averaging just over 1.1 touchdowns per game over the course of a season that he didn't play in a handful of them.
Ridiculous.
So, I don't know. I think I said back when we made that kind of power rankings that Green Bay was probably the only team that was a close 2. I think Buffalo's crept closer, but I think if you're going with your second, it's fitting that the Chiefs and the Packers hung on to their buys because I think those are the two kind of class organizations right now. Gives you that really cool Super Bowl I rematch that everybody kind of wanted to happen in their like one of the anniversary years, but we'll take it now.
We'll take it in the 101st year.
Yeah, I think if it kind of stinks for Josh Allen to put up an MVP caliber season the same year that Aaron Rodgers has a chance after getting snubbed a couple of times. So it's going to be a close ballot, but go Pack, go, definite contenders.
All right, then we look at the New Orleans Saints, 12-4, won the NFC South this year. I'm not 100% sold on this team. A lot of questions on the health of Drew Brees and where do you go if he gets hurt again. I'll put them in contender, but like just barely.
Like right over the fence. I'm with you on hit or miss. I think
I can't call them a pretender because they are a really good football team, but I just
they have a good defense. The defense has looked more suspect of late. Some of that may have to do with the offense having to punt a few more times, not having quite the array of weapons. But you still have a Drew Brees and a Drew Brees that claims that he may retire here at the end of the year. So I wouldn't bet against him. If I was putting my money on the line, I'm going to pick a game that he's not playing in because I'm going to want to bet against him, and I can't. So you still have some weapons in Kamara. The receiving core is depleted. I mean, obviously having Michael Thomas would be a huge push to definitely make them contenders. I have them on the pretender side of that fence. I just feel with, you still have Taysom Hill coming in at times, and it's like, well, if Brees does go down, are we going to give it back to Hill and be predictable? Are we going to give Jason or Jameis a chance? I just feel like the depth isn't there. So if anything goes wrong, I don't know that they can recover from it. Sure. And because of that, I'm going to go pretenders. Then we
go to the 12-4 NFC West champions, Seattle Seahawks. I have these guys just absolutely pegged as pretenders. I just there's been nothing from that team that has showed me any sort of consistency on either side of the ball to make me believe that they're good. Their hopes rest on Russell Wilson, which, I mean, he's obviously a great player, but I mean, when you're struggling to put up points against some of these hapless opponents over the last couple weeks of the regular season, they didn't sell me back in October. You're definitely not selling me in January. Definite pretenders for the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on in the offense, and you can blame some of the defensive woes at times, but the defense has looked better in the second half of the season, and it's the offense that seems to be costing him some games. And I don't know if Russell Wilson's broken. I don't know if it's a broken spirit, broken body, broken mind. Somebody's got to fix Russell Wilson because his throws are off. The timing's not there. DK Metcalf has disappeared off the face of the planet. And, I think teams have keyed in on him. And it's kind of exposing a little bit of Tyler Lockett. He had a big game here going into the playoffs, so maybe that's good for him. But
what'd you do?
Anytime I get to say anything about Pete Carroll being a pretender, because we know he is, Pete, I know you're a big listener, and I know this is probably Billboard material, but you're pretenders, Pete. Pretenders. Barely pretenders. You're like fakers. Suck it, Pete.
Hey, Pete.
Hey, fuck you, buddy.
Then we go to the team that just won the NFC East, the 7-9 Washington football team. Look, I had my out there prediction a few weeks back that Alex Smith would lead this team to a playoff and a playoff victory. Do I think they can beat Tampa Bay this weekend? I do, kinda, maybe. Something's building in Washington, but this ain't the year. They are pretenders.
Yeah, it's really hard to put them on the contender side. If the end goal was winning one playoff game, I would say they're contenders based primarily on their opponent. Tampa's gotten really hot, but it's been against three pretty low-end teams, Falcons twice and the Lions. So there's a lot of hype right now. Antonio Brown and the offense and the clicking, and it's going great. And Mike Evans setting records despite getting hurt. I just feel like, yes, it looks like things are clicking, and from a confidence standpoint, that's great for Tampa. But I think the Redskins have a chance to win primarily because the Bucs have struggled this year when teams can get to Tom Brady. And the one spot where the Redskins are beyond contenders is in the pass rush and the defensive line. So if they can get to Tom and they can disrupt things, they can absolutely win a game. But for a whole playoff run, definite pretenders.
Then we go to those Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 11-5, the first wild card team. I'm going to put them as contenders. They have looked good. Yeah, I mean, it has been against inferior opponents, but Antonio Brown is heating up. Mike Evans heating up. Chris Godwin heating up. The defense has looked better. And, I mean, you have the advantage of the fact that you are playing a team whose offense can make mistakes. So while the Washington football team can disrupt the Tampa Bay offense, I think the Tampa Bay defense can disrupt this Washington offense as well. If you can shut down Terry McLaurin, they've proven to be fairly one-dimensional. And then when you get beyond that, I mean, you look at the rest of the field. Besides Green Bay, I think it's wide open. So, but I have the and it's Tom Brady in the playoffs. They are contenders.
Yeah, Tom helps a lot. Like you said, heating up. Obviously, due to injury and illness, Mike Evans probably unavailable here to start the playoff run. Would probably be looking at a championship game return. But as good as Washington is at the pass rush, they're a top 10 pass rushing team. A few spots ahead of them are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tremendous pass rush defensive front. The secondary has really come together for them. And like you said, the offense is clicking. It seems when one guy goes down, another one steps up. And I think the big weapon going into this playoffs is, as much as Antonio Brown looks hot, a big part of that is that Chris Godwin is playing about as good as he has since entering the NFL. I'd say definite contenders. And like you said, some of that has to do with the playing field in front of them. But, fortunately for them, they get to travel. They get to travel to Washington. If they'd had to draw like a Green Bay this week, where it's going to be like 0 degrees, I think it's a whole different ball game for them. Not being a strong running team, that would be my big concern with Tampa. Is that They are not a strong running team. You have your Rojo, your strongest runner, has an injured hand coming into the playoffs. He's going to be favoring one hand more than the other. In the cold weather, teams are going to be trying to hit the sore hand to force fumbles. I think you're going to see some mistakes out of Rojo, and they may try to keep it out of his hands. But definite contenders. We'll see how much of a contender, but it's hard to really question a team with that high of a ranked offense and defense going into the playoffs.
Sure. Then we will go to the 10-6 Los Angeles Rams. Short and sweet. I think these are pretenders. I don't know the health status of Jared Goff. I don't think it's going to matter either way. This defense has fallen off. I just don't buy into them at all.
Contenders. I think I was talking about to my man Jake, who I was watching the game with Sunday night, and I was trying to get him. I was like, obviously, we know which teams are kind of your favorites to win the Super Bowl. I was like, find me those teams 4 to 8 that if you were going to go bet on a long shot to win the Super Bowl right now, which ones are you doing? And I kept throwing the Rams in the list because when you get to the bottom half of both conferences, there's not a lot of them there. I think the Rams are a complete team when they're playing as well. They have the defensive weapons there. They are able to neutralize top wideouts with Jalen Ramsey, and the secondary plays real well. And I think you're going to see better defensive performance come playoff time when you're against less trickery and wild card type offenses. You're going to be able to prepare for what you're going to see. It's going to come down to that offense. And I think Akers looks like he's going to be healthy, and they're going to have their running game back. So whether it's Goff or not here for the first one, I think they have a very winnable first-round game. And if you can get hot and healthy going into the second round, I got them definitely on the contender side.
And then we go to the 8-8 Chicago Bears, the number 7 seed pretenders. I'm sorry. I got nothing to believe. I got nothing to believe that they are going to contend. I mean, you're going with Trubisky or Nick Foles. I'm sorry, pretenders.
Yeah, I was. Basher's like, no way I can put a team with Baker Mayfield at the helm in the contender side. I can't do it with Mitch Trubisky either. He had a chance to kind of show me something against Green Bay this weekend. Couldn't do it. You're going to see defenses just as good, if not that good, before you even get to a game in Green Bay. I got to go pretenders here. This is a sham of a shell of a team.
It certainly isn't. Huddle Up Podcast is sponsored by Arena Eats. Log on to the website arenaeats.app, that's arenaeats.app, for the ultimate fan experience. At your favorite sports venue, Arena Eats mobile app, pre-order, express pickup, and in-seat delivery. How do you place your order?